Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. And in today's video we are taking a look at this socket set from Bahco here. This is the S530T. I believe it's only available in metric. There is no old English or imperial or standard version of these, whatever you call it. Comes in this great big plastic case. We do have metal clasps here at the front, and we do have a metal hinge pin as well down here at the back, so it's a fairly sturdy case. Soft comfort grip inlay in the handle here as well that you get. Opening them up, we do have all the sockets and the bits and pieces on the bottom tray. Then on the top tray here we have just a layout showing you what bits and pieces are available within the set. This is just a thin piece of kind of foam that's stuck on, and you can feel there is another moulding behind this, so if you wanted to you could perhaps peel this off and stick other bits and pieces inside it if you have a need to do that, but I'm just sticking with the socket set here. Now this is their pass-through range, and it's a reasonably specialist socket set rather than the standard ones that you get. It retails for, the list price is £320 in the UK. However, you can usually find it up to 50% off, if not a little bit more, if you shop around. The cheapest I found it is on Amazon, which it was for £130, so there are some good deals to be had on this set should you want one. In terms of what's in the kit, you have all of these spline sockets here at the top. They are from 10mm all the way up to 22mm without any misses, and then at the end you miss the 23mm, then you get the 24mm socket. These are all a 19mm hex drive, all the same. So they go into the ratchet, which is just below, without the use of any adapters. This is the little ratchet. It's a fairly shortish ratchet, really. It is a flex head that you can lock in position with the pin here. We've got about 4 positions, I believe, and then you go through in the opposite direction. So our ratchet, don't know how many teeth this has on it, and I didn't find that in the spec. But it's a fairly smooth ratchet. The head is, there's a little bit of play in the head this way, there is none the other way. It's all fairly tight. Change of direction is the little lever here. There we go. So it's okay. It's not quite as easy to thumb around perhaps as some of the other wrenches out there that have a bit more prominent lever on them. But you get used to it, I guess. But that's our little wrench, and we then move on to these external Torx sockets here. We have an E16, E18, E20 and E22. They are all a 19mm drive that go into the head as well directly, and then underneath have an E8, E10, E11, E12 and E14. However, these are a 14mm drive, and for any one of these you have to use the hex adapter, 14x13 here, so that then goes into the adapter, and then the adapter will go into this head here, and all of these lock into place on a spring clip at the top here. You can put it in this way if you want to, and they do lock, but it doesn't go quite as easy because you've got to get past the spring clip to start with, and then it will lock again in place there because they have, and of course it will lock out again. These have little indentations on them here and here, so this will lock in either direction, but obviously if you look at the other way you can't get to the, it's not so easy to get to the little change of direction lever there. So that's these here. Oh, can't get him out. They are a little bit tough to get out sometimes. So that's our external Torx there. These are standard Torx. I do not believe they are Torx Plus. And then, as I just mentioned here, you've got hex drive going this way, 13mm, 14, 15, 16 and 17mm. They are all standard 19mm drive, so they fit straight into the Ratchet. And then underneath we've got the 12, I'll go that way, 8mm, 9mm, 10, 11 and 12mm. These all require the 14mm adapter there, so they'll slide into this. And then, as we did with the E sockets over there, the Torx, they go straight into the driver after that. So that's all those there. We then move, let's do the extension. We've got a little 75mm extension here that goes direct into the Ratchet there, and then you can put whatever these you want in there. And then over in the middle there we have a set of adapters. These are standard socket adapters, so you have the 1/4, 3/8 and 1/2 inch drive, and they will go straight into the Ratchet there. And then same as the 1/4 is still 19mm drive as well. And in the top of here you have a little, wasn't supposed to happen, you have the little button here to release the detent. And you go from there, so you can put the socket on the standard 1/2 inch drive socket, goes straight on and locks in place, and then actually pulls the head out of the Ratchet, so that works pretty good. So they're the standard socket adapters that you can use with this. You then have these bit adapters. Again, they drive straight into the 19mm head and lock in place. And this is the 1/4 hex drive there, and then we have a 5/16 hex drive, which is about 6mm and 8mm, and these are for use with any standard bits. So in this particular set, for the 1/4 drive, you get the Torx. These are security Torx, apart from this bit here, because I broke this bit, so that's just a replacement bit, but they are security Torx, 20, 25, 27 and 30. And then we have a 5mm and a 6mm hexagonal there. They all go in the 1/4 drive there, and any 1/4 drive bit will fit in there, no problems. And then in 5/16 drive we have a 7, 8, 10 and 12 hex bits there. That's been very useful for me, the 12 bit, that's an unusual one really. And then our Torx, we have the 40, 45, 50 and 55, and they will go in 5/16. 5/16 drive, I believe, is more for your impact screwdrivers. You tend to see it used in those kind of tools. So I had a little quick look at the Ratchet itself. As I said, this is all a complete pass-through socket set. So there's our 24mm there, and you can see it will go through. We can put this through, and it will go through, sitting in there. So it has this kind of advantage. You can use it with the all threads, I believe people call it, or studded bar, we tend to call it in this country. So that goes in there. And the drive itself, being hexagonal, is slightly unusual for pass-through. You do get these cheap spanners from Amazon and eBay and the likes, and they do operate on a 19mm and a 14mm, although this is 12-point drive, but these kind of do fit in. The locking spring in this is in the centre and not at the end, so they don't fit in brilliantly, but they will go. You can put them in place in there should you want to, and they are a little bit tight, so I won't do that because they take a bit of getting out. Likewise, you can take these, again you see the drive spring clip slots are in the middle there, so they will physically fit and go in. Ooh, that one won't, will it? But they don't lock into place on this head in this normal direction. It's just kind of a friction fit that's keeping it there really. So that's the kind of drive that it is, which is obviously different to the likes you get from the gear wrench. This is the gear wrench there, pass through there, and this is what I call the Vortex drive. This is the same as Draper Tools in the UK. They use this kind of drive as well, so they are compatible with gear wrench, as are SATA tools. This is a SATA die holder that is compatible with that, but obviously you can see it's just not going to fit in the Bahco system. That tends to be a more unique system in comparison to what else is out there. And the wrenches, if you do want to see them, this is flex head as well. There's our change of direction lever. That's a ratchet there. Yeah, fairly similar. There's more play in the flex head on this. You can see that there, and also a little bit in this direction as well. And the flex head is on a button here. You can move it around. But it's just as well, just seems to be a little less quality. It depends, you've got more of a metallized handle here with a bit of a soft plastic inlay, whereas this is more of a comfort grip handle. The orange here is quite a soft grippy feel to it. Plastic inside here being a smooth finish to it, and obviously the length of them overall, you've got another good couple of inches longer on this one than you are on the Bahco one, should you want the extra leverage. So that is that there. In terms of these sockets and what they're used to drive for, obviously people will be familiar with Torx, I guess. The external Torx is perhaps a bit more unusual. They are used on automotive bolts where you need a bit more leverage, a bit more contact with the head. These are external Torx bolts here. These are off of a BMW, but I believe these are recessed inside. So I think you actually couldn't get in with this. You need quite a thin-walled, long-reach socket to get into this. But these will go into E12 here. And you can see they sit on and go on, and there's very little play between that whatsoever. I've got to take the same for as this one here on the spline drive. They will fit and they will go in, but there's a little bit more play rocking around on that. So whilst these will drive the e-Torx, they're not really made for that. They are made for special spline bolts, which I don't actually have an example of. We do have, this is a 12 point, which again actually sits on there better, but a fair bit of play to get onto the head of that really. This is a standard 12 point head on this. Now this comes as a 12 point, or you can get a triple square, but a triple square is 3 squares laid over one another, so the angle between the teeth is actually 90. You can hopefully see in here that's a bit more of a shallow angle. I think it's about 120 for a standard 12 point drive. These will drive this as well if you get the right one. So these will drive, but again, a fair bit of play in there as opposed to a proper 12 point socket, which you don't have the right one. There's another 12 point bolt. These are more industrial. This is of a Caterpillar engine. So you can see here, that does actually, there's a fair bit of play there, isn't there? It's going to be that one. Yeah, perhaps not much in it. They will drive standard 12 point bolts, but ideally they are made for spline bolts, which is the proper one to go. And these will also drive a standard bolt as well. You can see here it does drive right onto the corners of the hex bolt, but it will still push it, but obviously you're in danger of rounding it off, which is the same as when you use them against a standard 12 point there. See, these are guilty of rounding bolts off a lot more than if you use the standard hex drive, that will less likely to round them off and damage the bolts. So you can use these with standard bolts, but they are aimed more at specialist bolts, more in high torque applications for certain industries. And that's the reason why I have that. It doesn't get a vast amount of use, but it can be very handy when I do need it. As I said, that one's got me out of mischief quite a number of times, the 12mm, because you don't often see that very well. The only thing I will say is there isn't any extension to these, so you are stuck with that amount. So if you need to go deep, recessed bolt, you're going to struggle to do it with these, and I have not seen, you can get a standard 1/4 inch extension would fit in there and use with 1/4 inch bits, but 5/16 I've not seen anything that would go into that. And these just hold in magnetically. On these, they are not. There's no. Whilst they have a little groove for the circlip, it's not in there. These just go magnetic. It's a fairly strong magnet, but it is a magnetic fit and not a standard one. So there you go. That's our kit. As I said, it is list price is very, very expensive, but you don't usually have to pay that for it. You shop around a bit and you can get one of these. So that's the S530T socket set from Bahco. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you found it useful, and I will see you again in the next one.